Hello viewers, I am Bhikshamaya Chalgani, Assistant Professor of Physics from Government Degree College, Rumen, Nalgonda. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on magnetism, the basic terminology and paramagnetism. So we see this now. Magnetism, terminology. What are the terms involved in magnetism? So when a solid is placed in a magnetic field, it gets magnetized. The magnetic moment developed per unit volume inside a solid is called magnetization. So the magnetization is defined as the magnetic moment per unit volume inside a solid when it is kept in magnetic field. Magnetic susceptibility, it is represented with Xi, and it indicates a measure of the quality of the magnetic material. So how much it is magnetized. Okay, that is the susceptibility, and it is defined with this equation: magnetization per unit applied electric field. The magnetization per unit applied electric field strength. So that is Xi. So here capital M is magnetization and H is the magnetic field strength or magnetic field intensity, and M and H. So here I am following one notation. If one letter is shown in block letter, bold, bold letter represents us vector quantity, and unbold letter we take it as scalar. So therefore here M and H are vectors. It is the division of two vectors. Therefore Xi is a tensor. Okay, division of two vectors. So we are getting a tensor. Okay, therefore psi susceptibility is a tensor in general. In case of isotropic media, M and H point in the same direction. So in which direction we apply a field, in the same direction magnetization occurs. Okay, therefore they will stay in same direction. Therefore in that case psi is a scalar quantity. That means in isotropic media, susceptibility is a scalar quantity. In non-isotropic media, susceptibility is a tensor. The magnetic induction or magnetic flux density, capital B, produced inside the medium as a consequence of the applied magnetic field, and which is given by this equation. Okay, so we are applying, basically we are applying the field. So here it is the external field applied, and as a result of this, so material is magnetized. It attains some magnetic property. Therefore the addition of these two is the magnetic induction inside the solid. Okay, inside the solid or medium. So B is equal to mu naught H plus M. So mu naught is the permeability of the free space or vacuum, and its value is given here: 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 Henry per meter. Magnetic induction B is measured in Weber per meter square or in terms of Tesla. Here from earlier equation we have seen there Xi is equal to M by H. From that equation we are writing M is equal to Xi into H. So by substituting this m value in this equation, above equation, so we are getting mu naught h plus mu naught times xi h. Therefore, we are taking mu naught as common, and b is equal to mu naught times 1 plus xi into h. Okay, so we are writing this this product as mu. B is equal to mu h. From this equation, mu is equal to b bar by h bar. So again, it is the ratio of two vectors. Therefore, mu is a tensor quantity. As same as, however, the xi is a tensor, here mu is also a tensor. Now here we are seeing mu is equal to mu naught into 1 plus xi into h. Sorry. Okay. So there should not be h. So here there should not be h here. Mu is equal to mu naught into 1 plus xi only. So as we studied just before, mu is a tensor. In case of isotropic medium, B and H point along the same direction, and hence mu is a scalar with the dimensions of mu naught. Mu is the permeability of the medium. Mu naught is the permeability of the vacuum. So both the quantities are same here. Therefore, mu has the dimensions of mu naught. Relative permeability of the medium. Here we are defining one more quantity, relative permeability of the medium. So as compared to the permeability of vacuum, how much is the permeability of the medium? So it is the ratio of these two, that is relative permeability of the medium, mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. So from this equation, okay, from this equation, we are writing here mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. So here we are having two equations. So here we are seeing mu is equal to mu naught into 1 plus xi, and mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. By comparing these two equations, so here we are getting mu r is equal to 1 plus xi. Relative permeability, mu r is equal to 1 plus xi, susceptibility. In case of free space, that means in free space there is no matter and there is no medium. Whenever there is no medium, no magnetization at all. Therefore, M magnetization M is equal to 0. So M is equal to 0, then Xi is equal to M by H. Xi is equal to M by H. Therefore, Xi is 0. Susceptibility is 0. So in vacuum or free space, susceptibility is 0, magnetization 0. So if susceptibility is 0 in above equation, by writing here mu r is equal to 1 plus 0, that is 1. Here we are getting mu r is equal to 1. If mu r is equal to 1, from this equation, above equation, mu is equal to mu naught into 1. Therefore, mu is equal to mu naught. So obviously, we are getting the permeability of free space. Okay, when susceptibility is zero in vacuum, our permeability of the medium is nothing but the permeability of free space or vacuum. Okay, mu is equal to mu. So it tells us that the above equations are valid. So they are well defined. Now paramagnetism. So we see the paramagnetism. In the last class we have seen the diamagnetism. Now we are seeing paramagnetism. So it occurs in the atoms and ions, molecules which have permanent magnetic moments. So the atoms, ions or molecules which have permanent magnetic moments, in those substances we observe paramagnetism. Okay. So if that is the case, permanent magnetic moments came from which factors? That means how do we get permanent magnetic moments? So there is the possibility for existence of permanent magnetic moments when any one of these three exists inside the atoms or ions or molecules. Okay. So the spin or intrinsic moment of the electron, it is 1 point. The spin or intrinsic moment of the electrons, that means the spin motion is responsible for intrinsic magnetic moments. So whenever the electron spins, it possesses some angular momentum, and whenever the charged particle is rotating, it it is responsible for magnetic moment. So another possibility, the orbital motion of the electrons. So whenever the electron revolve around the nucleus, they possess some orbital angular momentum and hence some orbital magnetic moment. So this moment we call as spin magnetic moment, and it is orbital magnetic moment. Spin magnetic moment of electrons, orbital magnetic moment of electrons. In case of the spin motion of the nucleus, we get the spin magnetic moment of the nucleus if the nucleus spins about its own axis. So these are the possibilities for the generation of permanent magnetic moments. Now, para, paramagnetism observed in metals and atoms and molecules possessing an odd number of electrons. Okay, example, free sodium atoms, gaseous nitric oxide, just like that, and few compounds having an even number of electrons also. In the above point we stated an odd number of electrons, but in few compounds, even if they have an even number of electrons, there exists some paramagnetism. Example, oxygen molecule. Okay, so we observe paramagnetism in these materials, and there is Langevins classical theory of paramagnetism. We see that one. So Langevin considered a paramagnetic gas containing n atoms, capital N atoms per unit volume, each having a permanent magnetic moment mu. So mu here, it is not the permeability. So here mu is the, from here in this expression, totally in this heading, the Langevin's classical theory of, from here onwards, mu is the magnetic moment. It is not permeability. The mutual interaction between the magnetic dipoles was assumed to be negligible. So that means there exists more than one magnetic moment inside the gas considered. So the interaction between magnetic moment, one magnetic moment to another magnetic moment, is negligible, and they only interact with the applied magnetic field. So it is the assumption taken in this theory. So whenever the solid is kept inside the magnetic field, uh, there exists some temperature also. So there is some thermal energy is also there. So whenever the field is applied, the magnetic moments or the magnetic dipoles try to align in the field direction, but thermal energy also resists. So as a result, at thermal equilibrium, so they make some angle with the field direction. They all the magnetic moments may not exactly align in the field direction because of thermal resistance. So they may not come to along the field direction, and they make some angle with the field direction. So they interact with the magnetic field. The magnetic moments interact with the external magnetic field, and the potential energy of those magnetic moments or dipoles in the particular position which is making an angle theta with a field is given by this equation. It is the equation for potential energy of a dipole, magnetic dipole, or a magnetic moment. Magnetic dipole of magnetic moment mu. Therefore, E is equal to minus mu bar dot B bar. Is the scalar product of two vectors, and if we eliminate the scalar product, mu b cos theta, here we are getting. So here I have given the picture. So here, so the field B is applied in this direction. Let us say if it is X and it is Y, so the field is along Y axis, and so it is the magnetic moment, of the dipole, it is having the direction and some magnitude. Therefore, it is mu. So which is making an angle theta. That means, so we observe the same magnetic moments mu in all directions. So we are talking about 3D. So we have to assume it as three-dimensional picture. So therefore, if we take one particular direction, so with respect to this direction, so it is theta is the solid angle. So in all directions, around total 360 degrees around this vertical line, but this is the angle making. So it is solid angle, half of the semi-solid angle, theta. So for this vector, it is another magnetic moment, and it is some other magnetic moment. So this angle is theta plus d theta. So if we consider this, so it is making some angle with this, but the magnetic moment here also there is. So here also we are seeing. So one magnetic moment is here. So we are resolving. So we are resolving the magnetic moment. So it is this one, and we are resolving. It is one component, and it is another component along field direction. Mu sin theta is the component of mu along field direction, and this one mu cos theta, it is perpendicular to the field direction. Whenever we resolve this mu also, in this direction we get mu cos theta. If it is theta, if this angle is theta, semi vertical angle is theta, and again mu sin theta in this direction. Okay, so actually it is mu cos theta. If I have changed this, so actually this one is mu cos theta, and this one is mu sin theta. So actually this one is mu sin theta, and this one is mu cos theta. Similarly, we come to know why it is mu cos theta and mu sin theta. So it is our mu, and we are drawing. So we have to draw a vertical line from here to here, just like this. So just like this, and it is a perpendicular angle. So here perpendicular angle is making some perpendicular angle here to here. So from this rectangular triangle, it is rectangular triangle. So this side, and it is our hypotenuse, which is known mu. So it is mu cos theta. Since it is adjacent side, if we write cos theta is equal to adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. From that, adjacent side is equal to, we get mu cos theta. And this length is mu sin theta. So parallel vector, mu sin theta. So just like that. So here it is the mu cos theta along field direction, and in perpendicular direction mu sin theta. Similarly, so if we resolve the components of this magnetic moment also, we get here. So one perpendicular component here, therefore, so they cancel each other, right? So the perpendicular components cancel each other, and the component of magnetic moment, which is along field direction, is mu cos theta only. So this component contributes for the magnetization of the substance, the field direction. Okay, or for the magnetization, since they cancel out, it only these components survive. So this mu cos theta is responsible for magnetization of the solid. Okay, so here after this we see there is a mathematical derivation part. So, so it is a solid angle we have considered. So that means, so this annulus region, which we are seeing in blue portion. So this is the annulus region, solid angle. That means between the angles, semi-vertical angles, theta is one solid angle, theta plus d theta is another solid angle. The area between, or the volume between these angles. So if we see it from side, it looks as just like this. So this one. So it is a solid angle. So this portion here we are seeing in blue color. So only that one only. So if we see from side or here from upside, so it looks like this. So we have to integrate for this value we see in the derivation. So we have to remember this picture. So sorry here. Stop.